So these here are nematode worms. They're also known as roundworms. And today in this video, I would like to explain why in the world are they always moving? Why they're never stopping? They're always wiggling around, moving around very fast, very often too fast to follow with the microscope. And I found out a few reasons that I would like to share with you today. So hi, hello, and welcome again. Microbehunter here. Now I understand quite well if these nematode worms are not everyone's most favorite animal. And as a matter of fact, I do consider them very fascinating. I don't particularly like them, but they're really interesting, especially when we look at their behavior. And what we found out, or what I found out is during my research is that there are actually a variety of reasons why the nematode worms move and wiggle around like that, even though this consumes a lot of energy. This was actually my worry. Why are they doing that? They're just wasting energy. So what is the advantage really? Why are they doing this? And as a matter of fact, I found several reasons here that I would like to share with you. Now, when we want to investigate why certain animals behave the way they do, we always have to look at their immediate environment. There's always a reason why they're doing that, what they're doing. And the nematode worms that we have here, these are known as so-called vinegar eels, and to belong to the genus Tubatrix. They're sold as fish food. And I've been growing this culture now for well over 2 years, and they like to live in an area where there is lots of fermentation going on. So essentially, in fermenting food, and these areas are low in oxygen concentration. So they need oxygen, and what they're doing is by moving very quickly, they're trying to move towards an area where the oxygen concentration is higher. And as a matter of fact, under the microscope, I could actually see that when they've reached an air bubble or the edge of the cover glass, they started to slow down at least, because they found an area which is favorable for them. Now you might also notice that generally in the video clips here, the worms do not move quite as quickly anymore as at the beginning of this video, and the reason is because I deliberately slowed them down. I added a substance called methyl cellulose, which is a very thick and viscous fluid, to slow them down. Otherwise it would not be possible for me to show you those beautiful videos here, because they're always moving away and difficult to chase. Yeah? So essentially their natural movement is significantly faster than what you're seeing right now here. However, there is also a second reason relating to oxygen, and that is that because they're constantly moving, they're also mixing the liquid much more, and this allows oxygen, which can be found mostly at the top of the liquid, to be mixed further down into the lower parts of the jar. So the movement also allows the nematode worms, which are further below in the jar, to survive, because they're also getting a little bit of oxygen because of this constant water movement that's happening here. So you see, oxygen does seem to be a very important factor here. Yes, when they move so quickly, they require a lot of oxygen, sure, but the fact that oxygen is mixed in better overcompensates that, or the fact that they're able to move towards oxygen. This has a strong effect than the loss, or the oxygen requirement, rather, that they have, the increased oxygen requirement that they have because of their constant movement. So there are a couple of other reasons as well. Those nematode worms here, they have a digestive system. Yes, indeed. They are actually ingesting, they're eating food. They feed primarily on bacteria. Sure, they're also able to absorb nutrients over their skin, but they do have a digestive system and an intestine. And they're, of course, only able to take up those particles that are sufficiently small. And in many cases, in nature, bacteria, and that's one of their foods that they have, bacteria, they appear in clusters. The bacteria sticking together in larger clusters, so they're too big to be actually eaten. And the constant movement of those nematode worms breaks up larger clusters in the way that essentially it becomes small enough for them to be eaten, right? So it's like similar to when we are chewing our food, for example. And yes, there is also another reason. The last reason is that essentially they reproduce, they make eggs, they produce eggs, and movement is important, of course, finding a mating partner, and then they're able to mate and produce eggs. So those nematode worms, of course, can not only be found in fermenting foods, like, for example, in vinegar, like the ones that I have here, but they can also be found, for example, on fermenting fruits that have fallen from a tree. When they start to decompose and when bacteria start to grow, flies will also start to land on those fruits and feed on them, and those flies will bring along some of those nematode eggs, and then you have a new population of nematodes growing on those fruits. So if you want to protect your food from the growth of these nematode worms in case you are, for example, making your own kombucha, for example, or vinegar. Then you have to make sure that you're kind of keeping those flies away. Well, what's the take-home message? Well, in many cases, there is not one single reason why certain organisms behave that they do. And the second thing is if you want to understand why they do what they do, is we have to look at their environment and how they're living. And with that, I would like to thank all of my supporters of this channel. I want to wish all of you, of course, happy microbe hunting, and see you around in the next video. Bye-bye.